Welcome, all the powers of hell, to Geek Salad's Retro Movie Reviews from the Geek Salad Podcast. I'm Andy.
And I'm Mike.
And I'm also kind of feeling a little under the weather today. Don't worry, I don't have it. I am just exhausted from a long week of work. And
the virus that shall not be named.
Oh, yeah, no. The Voldemort virus is just so. I apologize if I don't look great, if I'm kind of like, I'm just kind of there right now. And in all honesty, the last 4 days have been just like exclusively doing, like getting us back onto, getting us back on track. Because it was a lot, like 3 weeks. This is the first movie review we've done in like 3 weeks.
Has it been 3 weeks, really?
It's been 3 weeks. So I was in Syracuse, and now I'm back here. It's a question in my home, like everybody else is supposed to be doing.
Yeah. Well, I'm in an essential business, so I can still go out. But the roads are remarkably busy, especially on Saturdays.
That is crazy to me. That is absolutely crazy to me. It just feels like, like we were thinking. Like Autumn was like, should I go to the grocery store tomorrow? I don't want to because I don't want to go on a Saturday. I'm like, there's no such thing as a weekend right now.
Yeah,
there really isn't. So
I got all my grocery shopping done tonight before I came home, so I don't have to go out at all over the weekend.
Wise.
Yes.
Wise. Yeah, no, I haven't left my neighborhood in over 2 weeks. Because as well, I know, but if anybody else does not know, my asthma kind of makes me immunocompromised for something like this. So I haven't left the house. I left my neighborhood in like 2 weeks. I've walked around the block a whole bunch of times, but it's a sacrifice worth taking, especially if people get better. So anyway, tonight is the 3rd of April. Every April we are officially branded Geek Salad's Disney month, where we do a whole lot of Disney stuff. And for the month of April, just like last year, we're actually going to have a lot of great guests joining us for these retro movie reviews. We might actually make good on that poll that we said we were going to do back in January when we started talking about this. Back in January, we did a video that was a kind of like a quickie recap of every one of the Disney classics animated movies. I think are 58 in the actual something like that.
Around there,
yeah, it's like 58 official movies. Some which are more questionable than others. Winnie the Pooh is one of those.
Yeah, fun and fancy free.
Well, that was a different era. But when we were doing it, we decided that there were a few movies we really want to take a deep dive on, especially movies that wouldn't normally come up if not for like a commercial tie-in or something like that. So we are going to start Disney month with I think in a lot of ways, to a lot of like the lay Disney people, an underrated classic, but to the Disney folk such as me and Mike, this is a classic, an absolute stone cold classic.
Definitely.
1959's Sleeping Beauty.
Yes.
All right, Mike, I'll let you start. When was the first time you saw this movie?
Oh, I don't doubt that it was one of the VHSs that my parents got back in like the 80s. When Disney was releasing all of their classics on VHS in the big old clamshell ones.
Yep. So I know I had seen at least bits and pieces of this throughout my childhood. The thing is that it's hard for me to get a beat as to when I actually saw this like in its entirety. This is one that didn't really come around when they did like the re-releases in the movie theater. Like I saw Pinocchio, I saw Robin Hood, I saw a bunch of those when they were re-released. This is one I didn't see. And quite honestly, if I had to actually, say without a shadow of a doubt, the first time I'd seen this movie in its entirety was at Suncoast, because it was released. This was one of those movies that stayed in the vault forever.
Yeah,
and it was just one of these movies that for some reason or another we didn't see come out on VHS at all. I mean, there might have been the 80s release of it, but I remember it was like 1997. When they released Sleeping Beauty. And not only did they release Sleeping Beauty like in the regular white clamshell, but it was the first time that Disney had actually released one of their animated films in its original aspect ratio. It was the first Disney film to get the widescreen treatment, which all us Suncoast nerds were all like, yes! Because if I'm not mistaken, this might be the first Disney animated film to be shot in 235 aspect ratio widescreen.
Entirely possible, because I just watched it like 2 days ago.
Yeah.
And it's widescreen even on my wide screen here.
Right. Most animated films up to that point, I think, were 165 to 1. Standard aspect ratio was 185. So the movies that were released prior to this were like more square. This is a definitive rectangle. This is the kind of movie that we would take the what's the difference with widescreen, and we would show people, and you'd show us 2 clips of the same scene. One is widescreen, one is full screen, and you miss a lot of it.
I'll be right back. My cat is meowing to get out.
Yeah, okay. You do that. You do. There we go. Don't need to see your pajama pants. So we're So yeah, this is one of those movies that definitely needs to be watched in its original form. That's why I'm so happy now that with DVD and Blu-ray, and now with Disney Plus, you can actually watch it in its full aspect. Because this is hands down one of the most beautiful Disney movies ever made, before or after.
As far as like just background art,
I'm mainly talking about the aesthetics of the movie. The backgrounds, the watercolor backgrounds are beautiful. The pastel colors in it, the overall building designs, and I'll even say this: I think the character designs, especially with Aurora, and I have a lot of thoughts about Aurora. I think that her character design is the best of that era of Disney princess.
I'll even throw in Prince Philip as being one of the best kind of character design of that era's Disney princess.
Usually with the princes, if they have any type of detail in their face, that's a win. I mean, hell, if you think about it, if you look at what Aurora looked like, the close up of Aurora's face, and compare that to not Sleeping Beauty, Snow White.
Yeah,
Snow White's face is very almost devoid of detail. She's got eyes. You can tell there's a roundness in the cheeks with a little bit of blush in there. 2 dots for her nostrils, and and a tiny little red mouth.
Yeah.
Aurora's face is more angular. It looks more like a person's face. I mean, with the Disney animated eyes, you're never going to get away from those gigantic doe eyes that every Disney princess has, or every Disney character pretty much has. But I think that she's beautifully designed. Philip, the overall design of Philip is fantastic. And we'll talk about it a little later, but even like towards the end of the movie with Maleficent's dragon and the thorn, the thorn patches and all that, that is an amazing looking art direction.
Yeah. I'm actually, there's a reason I'm wearing my Haunted Mansion Animaniac shirt.
Nice.
There actually is a connection between this movie and the Haunted Mansion.
Do tell.
Yeah. The production design, one of the production designers for this one, the guy mainly behind all those like beautiful artwork backgrounds, is Ken Anderson. And Ken Anderson's previous job prior to this movie was Walt had him working on the story and the artwork and the all the details of his haunted house attraction that was going to be a walkthrough, and it eventually became when he was taken off of that, like people like Mark Davis and Xavier Atencio were moved on to the project, and it became the Haunted Mansion we know and love today.
Yes, absolutely.
So if not for this movie, the Haunted Mansion could have been very different.
I completely agree. There's a lot of beauty in this. If I'm not mistaken, too, I believe on the Disney Plus docuseries, The Imagineers Story, a lot of the people that had been working on Disneyland actually were called in for the art direction of this movie.
Well, yeah, I mean that's the thing about Disney. What makes Disneyland so unique is that Walt didn't have designers on it. He had artists, he had animators, he had people that worked in the studio working in Disneyland. So that's why it looks so beautiful and unique.
Oh yeah, I know, absolutely. I absolutely agree with that. I think it's a fantastic. It's just so beautiful to look at. Yeah, and I think that above and beyond anything that came before it, and really anything that came after it, like for the next 30 years, I don't think anything touches this in terms of just the overall aesthetic.
The only one that I think could possibly come close to it before this one is maybe Bambi.
Oh yeah, Bambi is a completely different aesthetic in and of itself. It's almost like you can't compare Bambi to it because, again, light watercolor, but there are no buildings at all in it. There's no architecture. It is just forest. Bambi is beautiful. 1 and 2. I mean, you can compare both of them.
Oh yeah. Maleficent's castle is, during the escape scene, and it's just the rocks are crumbling. That is a wonderfully amazing looking castle.
That thing defies logic and gravity. It's awesome.
Yeah. Hey, it's dark magic. What do you expect?
Yeah. I freaking adore this movie. Which is interesting because biggest con of this movie actually is Aurora. Aurora is a cipher. She goes to where you need her to go so she can do what you need her to do. But she is never really quite established as her own character. Well,
actually, I was thinking about that earlier, during the day today. And you can really say about a lot of the early Disney films, actually going right up, pretty far, is that the main characters are almost never the most interesting characters in the movie.
Right.
The main characters are there to tell the story. The secondary characters are brought in to actually make it an entertaining movie.
Right. And that's why, you had mentioned, I know you texted me this earlier.
Yeah.
About Flora, Fauna, and Merryweather.
Yeah. They are the actual main characters of this movie.
Absolutely. They are the ones that drive the majority of the action on the protagonist side. Obviously, Maleficent is the antagonist side.
What an antagonist.
I actually have a lot of thoughts about her, but I want to save her for a little later so we can discuss the other characters. I really, and I was watching a little bit more of Sleep Beauty before I came on because I had to wait for the laptop. And it's funny how just engaging the 3 characters are.
Yeah.
All 3 of them.
Their back and forth are, I don't know, I don't have it who wrote the dialogue for this one, but they did a bang up job.
Yeah, there's a lot of great stuff before they decide to take Aurora, where they're discussing about how their magic works and how their magic's supposed to make people happy. And while Merryweather's like, well, getting rid of Maleficent would make me happy.
Merryweather has always been my favorite.
Yeah, well, she's the comic foil. I hate to say everybody needs a fat and
oddly enough, if you look at the cleaning and baking and sewing scene, Merryweather is kind of the most competent one of the 3.
I agree.
It's obvious that she did all the cooking, and for some reason, for the birthday cake, they decided to let Fauna try it.
Well, it's because she'll never have this opportunity again, even though it's entirely possible to have that opportunity again. Just don't use your friggin' magic.
Well, they're fairies. They have to.
Yeah, I know. It's my wings, my beautiful, beautiful wings. That entire scene where they're getting, where they're trying to they're trying to sneak making the dress and making the cake it's a lot of fun to watch.
Straight out of Three Stooges.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, you were saying that earlier that you think that the writers were definitely Three Stooges fans.
Oh yeah, the Fauna trying to cook is straight out of Ache and Every Steak. Absolutely.
It is a lot of fun. I know we had mentioned Prince Philip as well. Prince Philip is the prince that actually does stuff.
Yeah, well, I think he's like the first prince to actually be given a name.
Well, there's that. He actually has thoughts of his own and isn't just there to prince.
His back and forth with Samson, his horse.
Yeah.
It's like, I'll give you a bowl of oats and some carrots. Okay, let's go.
Yeah. Exactly. Well, the other thing too, it's like, Father, it's the 15th century. I can pick my own wife now.
And even when they introduced him to the baby Aurora, he's like, what the hell is that?
Yeah.
So it's the first prince to actually have a personality.
Yeah. And the interesting thing, the parents also have a personality. The
fathers do.
Well, the fathers do, exactly. Yeah,
we never see Philip's mother, and Aurora's mother has one line in the entire movie.
Yeah. But Prince King Stefan, and what's Philip's father's name?
Oh, Hubert.
Hubert,
isn't it? Yeah.
Their entire toast scene it's a lot of fun to watch. There's that great bit with the minstrel just getting drunk on their leftover wine.
I had forgotten about that until I watched it again. I was like, that guy. I mean, there's absolutely no point for this scene to be in the movie, but damn it if it's not fun.
Well, I think you need the movie itself is reasonably short. It's not. I mean, it's not Dumbo short, but it's also not Fantasia long either.
Yeah, I think it's like an hour 17 or something like that.
I think so. Yeah, it's reasonable for a feature-length film, especially one released in 1959. Yeah, I really
75 minutes. Yeah,
75 minutes.
Yeah.
Okay, so an hour 15.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a fantastic movie. It's also directed by one of the old hands of the Disney animated scene, Wolfgang Reitherman.
Yeah.
Who directed one of my favorite Disney movies, The Jungle Book.
Oh, okay.
I think he also did. He did Sword in the Stone as well. He may have. I know his son did some of the voice for it.
Well, I do love Sword in the Stone. So
yeah, and I believe he was one of the 9 Old Men. He was Woolly Reitherman.
He was a sequence director. He was directing animator for a bunch of them. Directing animator for Alice in Wonderland, for Cinderella, for Peter Pan.
Yeah,
Lady and the Tramp. Jungle Book director, Sword in the Stone director, 101 Dalmatians director.
Yep. Yeah.
Producer and director of The Aristocats and Robin Hood. He was up there all the way until The Fox and the Hound. That was his last credit.
Really? Okay. Yeah. I mean, he's an old hand. I mean, when it's interesting too, because not so much with Pixar movies, but with Disney, it's tough to find like that go-to director. I mean, the closest thing I think you have is Musker and Clement.
Yeah. They're kind of them and Jennifer Lee and
the guy.
Yeah, the co-directors of Frozen. Well, I think Jennifer Lee is like I think she's the new head of Walt Disney Studios.
Jennifer Lee took over for John Lasseter.
Yeah, I think she took over for John Lasseter for Walt Disney Studios. I think Pixar is not Brad Bird. No,
it's not. Steve Doctor? No, Steve Doctor.
No, I think it is Steve Doctor.
Okay, well, let's see. We'll just have to look that up later.
Yeah.
But I mean, the centerpiece of this entire movie, character-wise, is Maleficent.
Absolutely.
Maleficent is possibly the most standout villain in any Disney movie ever. She's still, I mean, you're talking about a movie that is, 60 years old, and she's still relevant. They make movies about her. Not good movies, but they make movies about her to try to make her good.
Yeah.
But she looks evil. The character design, the high pointy cheekbones, the green skin, just that headpiece, like that horn headpiece.
Yeah.
It's just fantastic. And she's so goddamned evil.
And add to that Eleanor Audley's voice acting for that. I mean, she just, even when she's being nice, she's got so much menace just in that voice. It is chilling to hear. And they went all out with, what is still considered to be the gold standard for Disney villains. I mean, she's like pretty much the main villain in at least Kingdom Hearts 1. But she's not the main villain, but she's like one of the main villains. Right.
But the other thing too is now, she's one of those she's the bucket list park character for me.
Yeah.
Like I'm gonna have to go to like one of the villains things.
Oh yeah.
At some point.
Yeah, when
I think you're doing it now, right? Are you doing the Halloween thing or the villains night?
When John and I went to Disney California Adventure last year for Oogie Boogie's Halloween Bash, they have like all these like trails where you can pick up candy.
Yeah.
And in one of them they got the evil queen from Snow White, but then you had Maleficent on another one. She was just they did a great job with her costume.
Yeah. And she's so cool. The dragon, just the dragon effect itself, the transformation into the dragon is awesome. I mean, it's all animation. You know how you do it. You redrew it, but the flow turning her into that.
Yeah. I really love how the dragon is not really detailed. It is really very angular. It's very like, it's just pure black.
Yeah.
There are no, like, you can't see all the scales. It's just this black and magic energy.
Black with a green belly. And actually that is our, when you clicked on this link, you'll see that was actually our tile for this show.
Yeah, nice.
So, I mean, all of her awesomeness will make me forgive the fact that essentially this is all a grudge about not being invited to a child's christening.
Yeah, her reasoning is pretty petty.
It is insanely petty. It is, but it's just funny too how when Flora, Fauna, and Merryweather are introduced, they're actually introduced as the good fairies.
Yeah. Well, I mean, hey, Maleficent, says, when after she like shoots all of her minions out, she's like, they're like a
embarrassment to the powers of evil.
Yeah. So she acknowledges, she's an evil person. She doesn't do nice things.
Yep. I love that she embraces that. There isn't like, well, you need to see it from my side. She's not Thanos.
No, she's just like, I'm pissed and I don't like you.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm just going to curse you.
You know what? I totally forgot about that scene too, where it's 16 years later.
And they're still looking for a baby.
Like, Hoggy minions are just like, we looked at every house and village and cradle. And she's like, cradle.
And
they're looking for a baby.
And dealing with her raven there.
Yeah. No, it is. And she is just an incredible character. She really, truly is. Even now, I mean, when you look at, if you saw like the last Blu-ray release, and actually, I think the movie, it's the movie title for Disney Plus as well. I think Maleficent is really the only villain that is featured prominently, and I'm talking like half the tile prominently on the movie poster for Disney Plus.
Yeah, I'm not surprised because Disney. Even Disney acknowledges, we've never done better than Maleficent.
No, they have not. I mean, there have been some great villains.
Yes.
Mainly 80s, 90s villains.
I don't know. I mean, that I was gonna say Syndrome, but that's Pixar.
Yeah, that's Pixar. Okay, so I'm gonna show this to you if I can find where my camera is. There we go. So that is the poster for Sleeping Beauty. That's just how I continue watching. And you can see that Maleficent is she's really the only one on there. I mean, some of the other posters might have the villain somewhere in the background. But Maleficent does play a very big part in this, and she does move the plot around instead of just getting lucky.
Yeah.
Even though technically she did kind of get lucky because the raven found the fairies arguing with their magic.
Yeah. Yeah, but I get the feeling that even if they hadn't found that, then she still would have been like kind of just like watching the castle. And as soon as she saw them, was like sneaking in. She's like, "Time."
Yep. Well.
That's one part I was kind of like, why don't they wait until after the sun goes down and and the curse is over before trying to sneak in?
You dum-dums. Yeah, and I mean, I think the final component of this movie that we need to talk about is the music. The fact that they stuck very close to the Stravinsky ballet, is great. I mean, you Star Wars themed it in the Star Wars Holiday Special with the you took the theme and wrote lyrics to it, but it actually it's a beautiful song. Once Upon a Dream is gorgeous, but all of the incidental music is on the ballet.
It's Tchaikovsky.
Oh, Tchaikovsky. I'm sorry. Yeah. Sorry. Oops.
Yeah. But
my daughter just finished up all of the Nutcracker stuff, so it's that name is verboten in my house right now.
Understood. Now, but I mean, they got Tchaikovsky score going all the way through, and Yeah, it's. I mean, it's a little weird in the beginning.
Yeah.
When they're like just singing the introductions to the fairies, then singing the introduction to Aurora. Like,
yeah.
Okay, we get it. There is an opera here, but when
no,
once upon a
it was for its time, it was a very different Disney movie, but you still had to seat them in with, okay, here's the book folding over.
Yeah.
Here's some music to start you off. There are not a lot of songs in this movie, folks, so just chill out. You'll be wowed by the scenery. This movie did bomb, though. This movie was not a hit. You pulling up its numbers?
Well, budget of $6 million, box office 51.6. I'm guessing that's adjusted for inflation.
That might be adjusted for inflation. I do remember in that, actually, that that Art of Walt Disney book that both of us have.
Mm-hmm.
I do believe they had mentioned this was not a financial hit for them. I mean, I could absolutely be wrong about that, but I do seem to remember this one kind of flew under the radar.
I'm trying to look up.
Yeah. God, I just lost my train of thought there about the movie. Oh, you know what? I mentioned earlier that this was kind of like, for the Disney lay people, this is just kind of like it's there.
Mm-hmm.
It's considered a classic, but the Disney faithful, again, because of all the components we mentioned earlier, this movie is a stone cold classic.
I found it. Yes. Disney Sleeping Beauty grossed approximately $5.3 million in theater rentals.
On a budget of $6 million?
Total $6 million. Yeah.
Yep. All right. I mean, I'm sure it made its money back with the with the re-releases, which they would do every 7 years, and then the home release.
They made their money back with Maleficent as well.
Oh yeah. Oh, they absolutely did. That movie made more money than it kind of deserved. I heard how much money that movie made. I'm like, that can't be true.
Well, and then the sequel
bombed.
Yeah.
But it is interesting that, I mean, for a lot of the Disney faithful, this is like, out of that group of classics, like you go and you watch like when I go on a top 10 list and I see like, okay, we're gonna cover the golden era, the 1950 to 1969 era, the stuff, the post-war, pre-slump Disney. This is almost always the top movie.
Yeah. I mean, just the animation alone, there's a reason why it cost $6 million. It was the most expensive movie that they'd yet made.
Yeah,
they must have spent a bucket load on the artwork.
Right, and it shows that that the movie didn't do as well because when you go and you look at the next set of movies, there's a lot of corners cut. You do get more of the Xerox and stencil look to the animation. So,
yeah, I mean, I know you love Jungle Book.
Yeah, I'm willing to admit they recycled actually they took the animation from that and recycled it in Robin Hood, but you know what I mean.
But the animation is not top notch.
No, it is not. It is not. It's probably, and I'm going to say this with a ton of bias, it's probably the best looking out of that group of movies. But, it's, let's just say it hit its nadir with The Rescuers that essentially looks unfinished.
Yeah. I mean, the main problem is that a lot of the movies, go to Sword in the Stone, Universe of Cats, the animation just, it looks like they cut corner. I mean, the backgrounds are not artwork. It's just scenery that's reused over and over. Exactly.
There was a lot of that Xerox and copy with that. I mean, sure, there's tons of great YouTube videos you can watch. It's like, okay, here's Baloo dancing here. Here's Little John dancing in Robin Hood. Same motions.
Yeah.
They are essentially the same character design too.
And they even voiced by the same person too.
Yeah. Oh yeah. But with Sleeping Beauty, I really feel like nothing in this movie was ever repeated, which I really enjoy, and that's why I think this movie stands out with this grouping that we're talking about.
Yeah, if one scene flows to another, there's not the same background to save money. No, everything was done in flows, really.
Yeah. I love this movie. It's definitely a thumbs up on my.
Oh yeah.
Mike, do you have anything else you want to say about Sleeping Beauty before we wrap up?
The side characters are a lot funnier than I thought they would. Than I remember them being.
Exactly. And you know what? I'll tell you this: if you haven't seen Sleeping Beauty in a while, go back and revisit it. You got Disney Plus. You know, our friends in the UK, you have Disney Plus. Go back and watch. You finally have it. Yay! I'm so happy for you. Go back and please watch this movie. It is an absolute joy to watch. And again, it's mainly because it's got an amazing 85% of these characters are just great characters.
Yes. Yeah.
So, all right. Well, anyway, Mike and I host a little podcast, Geek Salad. You can find us at geeksalad.podbean.com. You can also check us out on the Podbean app, as well as Stitcher, Spotify, iTunes, Google Music, and iHeartRadio, as well as right here on this YouTube channel. On the YouTube channel, we also give you weekly videos. We actually just did our WrestleMania predictions last night, so we'll can't wait to see how those panned out. And pretty much as long as we are trapped in our houses, we'll be providing at least one Disney review once a week this month.
Yes.
Which our next one is going to be The Princess and the Frog. We have already secured the talents of the lovely and talented Nick from the Black Girls Do Stuff 2 podcast.
Yay!
I texted her. I messaged her today, and she was emphatically excited to do this. We actually also might be having our occasional host Todd joining us as well.
So yeah,
get a little bit more perspective on there, because that's just what the show needs: more white male perspective.
Wow, it's such a rarity these days.
I know. Actually, I'm really looking forward to see what Todd's thoughts are on this movie. You know, being a newer Disney animated film, because Todd, just like us, is a gigantic Disney fan.
Yeah.
And then in the following weeks, we're going to have The Emperor's New Groove and The Lion King. And if we have time, and even if we don't, maybe we bleed this into May, because I don't know how long this isolation is going to last. We're going to attempt to put up a poll, no promises yet, to do one more, and we're going to let you pick that movie. We've already kind of picked our choices for what it could possibly be. Now we want to know what you want. So
actually, that would be the last week of April.
It would be. Okay.
Yep.
Days mean nothing to me right now.
Yeah.
So, yeah, they just all bleed in together. All I know is tomorrow I get to sleep in.
Yeah.
Because I don't have to work. I don't actually have to come back down here and work. It's been surreal the last 3 weeks working in the studio. I need to clean this room up. I really do. Anyway, you can also follow us on the socials at Geek Salad Radio on Twitter, podcast on Facebook, and hey, we just opened up our merch store at TeePublic.
Yay!
So just type in the search field Geek Salad Podcast. Excuse me. And there are 3 designs to choose from. You can put that on you can design your own t-shirt with it. You can get stickers, pins, coffee mugs, phone cases if you are an iPhone or Galaxy user, and a bunch of other stuff you can just slap our Funkoed faces on. I just actually got the shipping confirmation for my stuff. I couldn't be happier.
Oh, very cool.
I'm very excited.
Yeah.
So
I just got my paycheck, so I may be placing an order as well.
Honestly, if you sign up now, I think stuff is on sale like 15. I think it's like 15 or 20, 30% off.
Oh, nice.
It's cheap. So do it now. You're gonna pay on the back end for the shipping, but it's worth it. And you support us, which might mean that we might be able to do stuff like maybe eventually buy a splitter for microphones. So when we do get back into doing it all in the same room, it doesn't sound like I'm the only person in front of the mic and everyone's way behind me.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
well, we sometimes are.
Yeah. That's usually how that works. Yeah, it's the way we sit. So anyway, until next time, I'm Andy.
And I'm Mike.
Go forth and be nerdful. Talk to you later and have a magical day.
Goodbye.